The Young and the Restless Tuesday, full, the 19th of May, 2026. Welcome back to our channel, folks. Today is a rather gloomy Thursday, but we're here to dive deep into the absolute madness of Genoa City. Grab a huge cup of coffee because we have a mountain of drama to unpack today, and I am honestly running on fumes right now. So let's just jump right into the deep end with Nick Newman. Honestly, I am so exhausted just watching him right now. We all know Nick is struggling hard with this addiction, and it's tough to watch, really tough. He is trying to fight it, but the temptation and the cravings are just too much for him to handle on his own. But the most frustrating part, he is refusing to share his struggles with anyone. He's just walking around pretending everything is perfectly fine. Like, dude, you literally drove a car off a cliff a few episodes ago because Matt Clark spiked your stash with poison drugs. Nikki was screaming in the hospital about permanent brain damage, and now you're just trying to act normal? The writers really glossed over the medical recovery there, but okay, that sounded dramatic, but you get what I mean. Soap opera miracles, I guess. But Nick is hiding it, and he is doing a terrible job of hiding it. So Nick has this conversation with Christine Blair Romalotti. I don't even know what they were talking about, probably the insane legal mess with Phyllis or whatever, but Victor Newman was watching, and Victor immediately starts questioning his son's judgment. You cannot hide anything from Victor. You just can't. He smells weakness like a shark in the water. So Victor gets suspicious, and then throughout the week, Victoria Newman decides to confront Nick. Victoria is always so high and mighty, isn't she? She probably corners him at Newman Enterprises and demands to know why he's twitchy and unfocused. And of course, Nick is going to deny it. He always denies it. But by the next day, Victor and Nicky Newman team up to stage an intervention. They join forces to help Nick. And honestly, thank God, Nicky knows all about addiction. She has fought the battle for decades. Remember when Nicky used to hide vodka bottles all over the Newman Ranch? She knows exactly what it feels like to be drowning and pretending you're totally fine. If anyone can get through to Nick's thick skull, it's his mother. But maybe I'm being too optimistic. Who actually believes this is going to end well? Nick is so terrified of his father's harsh judgment right now. Victor doesn't do empathy. Victor does ultimatums. When Victor found out about the drugs from Adam last week, he didn't give Nick a hug. He gave him a brutal reality check that just pushed Nick further into a panic. I just hope this intervention is actually supportive and not just Victor yelling at him again while Nick stares at the floor. It is just so exhausting to watch this family cycle through the same toxic dynamics over and over again. But I guess that's why we tune in, right? And speaking of people making terrible life choices, let's talk about Jack Abbott. What were they thinking with Jack lately? Seriously, what is going on in his head? Jack is actively trying to manipulate Patty Williams to use her against Victor. Patty Williams, the woman is completely unhinged. She is dangerously obsessed with him. Does Jack not remember that she poisoned his niece Summer years ago? You are playing with the heart of a crazy woman, Jack. Let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we? Patty is not just some ex-girlfriend. She is Paul Williams' sister who has spent half her life in a mental institution. She literally shot Victor Newman. She has a history of extreme violence whenever she feels abandoned or betrayed by Jack. And Jack knows this. Kyle Abbott actually steps up and tries to warn his father. Kyle is literally the only adult in the room right now. He's telling Jack that this is a horrible idea. But does Jack listen? No. Jack just keeps pushing forward. He is so desperate to take down Victor, especially now that Diane caught him in bed with Patty on that boat and then caught him in a compromising position with Nikki. Jack's marriage is falling apart, so he's lashing out. But then later in the week, Jack actually changes his mind about Patty. He starts second-guessing himself. He probably looks at her and wonders if she really has changed, or maybe he just feels a tiny bit of guilt for using a mentally unstable woman as a pawn in his billionaire boys' club war. But whatever clarity Jack has, it doesn't last, because by Friday he makes a spectacularly bad decision. And I have a feeling it has to do with Matt Clark, because guess what? The spoilers say Matt Clark is being led all around town by Patty. Yes, you heard that right. Patty Williams is just leading Matt Clark around Genoa City. Matt is still faking his amnesia, acting like he doesn't know who he is, and somehow he ends up on a walking tour with Patty. Two of the most dangerous, unstable villains in the show's history, just hanging out. It's like a fever dream, a total disaster waiting to happen. What if Patty decides she likes Matt? What if Matt uses Patty to get back at the Newmans? Jack is literally handing a loaded weapon to a known criminal just to spite Victor. It is so irresponsible, just completely unhinged. Okay, let's pivot to something slightly less toxic but still chaotic. The New York drama. So the spoilers for the week of May 18 say that Holden Novak and Claire Grace Newman are going to be in New York. I actually really like these two together. Holden has been so overwhelmed since finding out Malcolm Winters is his biological father, and Claire has been so sweet giving him advice. But of course, they can't just have a nice trip. They are going to run into an unexpected situation. And to make things even more complicated, Lily Winters is also heading to New York. Why is Lily there? Honestly, Lily is under so much stress right now. She just found out her twins aren't a bone marrow match for Malcolm, and Kate Ashby is blackmailing her for control of Chancellor Winters in exchange for his bone marrow. It is sick. Maybe Lily is in New York trying to find a loophole, or maybe she's trying to track down another donor so she doesn't have to sell her soul to Cain. Or maybe she just crashes Holden and Claire's trip. Either way, Lily is desperate. And who can blame her? She poured her blood, sweat, and tears into building Chancellor Winters into this massive legacy. And now her sleazy ex-husband is swooping in to steal it. Cain has always been a liar. Remember all the fake identity stuff years ago? But using Malcolm's aplastic anemia as a bargaining chip is a new low, even for him. I really hope Lily finds a way out of this in New York. Back in GC, Adam Newman and Chelsea Lawson are planning something together. After that whole mess in Las Vegas where Adam was kissing Reza to get information on Matt Clark, and Chelsea showed up and caught him, yeah, I thought Chatham was done for. But apparently, they are working together again. They are probably plotting their next move against Matt Clark. Adam is definitely not going to let Matt get away with what he did to Nick. Adam feels so guilty about Nick's overdose, so you know he is out for blood. And Chelsea, despite her moral high ground lately, will always back Adam when it comes to family survival. I just wonder if Adam's dark spider persona is going to come out to play. And then we have Sharon Newman giving some very unpleasant advice to Phyllis Summers. Let's be real. Phyllis needs someone to yell at her. She just kidnapped Matt Clark, tied him up in a dark basement, and tried to force a confession out of him to beat Victor's AI evidence trap. But then Sienna Bacall, who is apparently Matt's crazy fanatic follower, stalked Phyllis, bashed her over the head, and rescued Matt. Phyllis is terrified now. She has a dangerous new enemy. So Sharon is probably going to tell Phyllis to back off. Sharon has survived so many psycho stalkers in her life, from Cameron Kirsten to everyone else, so she knows what she's talking about. She's probably telling Phyllis that if she keeps pushing, she's going to end up dead. Sienna is not just a regular goon. She is a fanatic. She is violently devoted to Matt. Phyllis is completely out of her depth here. She is used to fighting in boardrooms and courtrooms, not in dark basements against crazy cult-like followers. But will Phyllis listen? Never. Phyllis is so desperate to clear her name from Christine and Victor's fake AI email trap that she will probably just double down and get herself into even more danger. We also have a really heavy scene coming up between Devin Winters and Mariah Copeland. Mariah is still in the mental health facility after having her psychological break and kidnapping Dominic. Devin has been so angry, pushing for her to go to prison, but they are going to have a talk about forgiveness. And I think Devin is finally going to see how guilty and tormented Mariah actually is. She is so broken. I really hope Devin drops the charges. It's what Abby wants. It's what Sharon wants. Just let the poor girl heal. I do wonder where Tessa is in all of this, though. The fans on social media have been asking why Tessa isn't fighting harder, but maybe she is just giving Mariah space. Either way, Devin needs to let go of his anger before it eats him alive. Finally, let's talk about Sally Spectra and Billy Abbott. The spoilers say Sally is expecting a baby and she is really worrying about Billy's past. Now, I know the timeline has been super confusing lately with Sally's pregnancy scares, but they are clearly focusing on her, demanding better from Billy. Sally is not going to put up with any disrespect. Billy has a horrible track record. He makes terrible decisions, he constantly messes up, and he lets his mother Jill interfere in everything. Sally is looking at this man and thinking, can I really build a family with you? The man made promises. He promised to be better. But Billy always promises to be better, doesn't he? And then he goes and does something incredibly stupid. Sally is going to make absolutely sure he keeps his word, or she will walk. She has been through way too much trauma, especially losing baby Ava, to deal with Billy's typical man-child behavior. She needs stability. She needs a rock. And Billy Abbott is a lot of things, but he is not a rock. I honestly don't know if they are going to make it to the altar. The fans on social media are completely divided on this pairing. And honestly, so am I. Sometimes I think they're cute. And then Billy opens his mouth and I just want Sally to run for the hills. So yeah, that is where we are at. The whole town is just a giant mess of secrets, addiction, and terrible revenge plots. I feel like I've been staring at my screen for hours trying to make sense of Jack's logic, but there is no logic. It's just pure chaos. And I kind of love it, but I'm also so tired of these characters not learning from their mistakes. I mean, how many times does Nick have to hit rock bottom? How many times does Jack have to trust a psycho? Anyway, I'm rambling now. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are you Team Jack or Team Victor in this latest war? Do you think Nick will actually accept help? We will see.